Well, good morning, welcome back to my channel. It is time to release my new format for making videos for YouTube. They need to be quick and easy for me to do, so I'm not spending tons of hours in the editing suite. I'm spending most of my time out here in the forest, photographing, filming wildlife, filling the gaps of bits and pieces that I don't have for my documentary. So as we go along, I'll be tweaking it and making it better and better. But at the minute, I'll put together something I think will work really well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Tell me your thoughts at the end, but just keep it in mind that I will be tweaking and mucking around, making it better, educational for you, and me still practicing with preparing to make the wildlife documentary. So, mouth zipped, sit back and enjoy. Well, hi and welcome to my beautiful office. It's where I study, photograph and film the Agile Antechinus, birds and animals, and much, much more. In this video, I'd like to share with you my experiences with nature and photography. Well, I hope you can hear the sounds that I can hear at the minute. It's beautiful. Lots of birds chirping away quite loudly. From August up until the start of June, it is dead silent in the reserve because it's winter. But today, it's the 21st of June, the winter solstice is here. It always amazes me at this time of year. Birds all of a sudden start chirping. I've always been here, but they've been very quiet. And now they're just going for it. Working out their territories because spring isn't that far away. For a lot of birds, breeding season is only, 6 to 7 weeks away? That's beautiful. Stand by the creek. Listen to Pacific ducks. Plenty of them in the reserve at the minute. It's awesome. Anyway, what have I got in store for you today? Directly behind me is nesting box number 1, which I built and designed so that I could study the Agile Antechinus, a small carnivorous marsupial. Over the years, it's given me a lot of valuable information. So let's check out what's been happening in the nesting box this week. I've learnt a lot over the last 3 weeks from nesting box number 1. So 3 weeks ago, I renovated it. I've getting a lot of moisture on the lens of my trail camera. And also inside the nesting box itself was getting really wet. So I needed to insulate it and make it a lot better. The female Agile Antechinus we were nesting in there had moved out, probably because of that reason. So I put some new nesting material in, and that very same night an Agile female came in, rebuilt the nest, and she was joined very quickly by 3 others. And for 2 weeks I learned a hell of a lot off just those 4 females about their behaviour with what they do during the day, which is sleeping. They're not doing much, which I already knew, but I needed to really see that in the nesting box. And also the times that they come out to hunt. So there's no activity through the day, they're sleeping, just going to the toilet every now and then, and coming out late at night to do some hunting for some food, and then they're pretty quickly back. So they're not mucking around outside very long, and it's only doing it maybe once or twice a night, very short periods. This week has been amazingly interesting though. They've built up to 12, with other females coming and joining them. The numbers have been around 12, and they seem to get on reasonably well together, not too much squabbling about getting into the nest or staying in the nesting box itself. Because when the nest gets full, it overflows a bit, so they either sleep on top of the nest or they climb up to the top of the nesting box and huddle together up there. Now there is one female, for some reason they do not like, and they kick her out every time she comes in. Very aggressive, screaming at her to get out and nipping at her sometimes. That's been really interesting. Now I think that female is Sylvia, the one I filmed nesting in that nesting box over last breeding season. She's the largest female, agile female I have ever seen. She's really big. They don't seem to like her, so they've been kicking around. Another interesting thing is, now since February, their cousin, the dusky Antechinus, has been coming into the nesting box, just into the entrance, and checking out what's going on in there, having a bit of a sniff, and then she leaves. But that changed this week. She's come in twice, all the way down to the nest, kicked one agile female out that was left in the nest, the rest had gone out hunting, and stayed there for a few seconds and then left. The second time she came in, there was about 8 females in the nest, and she kicked them out. So that's what I've learnt this week with nesting box number 1. And over the next few months it's going to be really interesting to see, well, how things go in there. What am I going to learn next? The 5D Mark II. What an amazing camera this has been for me. Taught me a hell of a lot. Alright, so I've come from film cameras to digital camera. This came out in 2009. Hell of a lot of hype about it. In 2010, I bought it. Thought this would be great for me out in the forest, do landscape shots and every other thing that I do with photography. A beautiful all-rounder. It excited me a lot, it certainly did. And it's what I thought it'd help me out, really learn photography instantly, because we can see what's on the back of the screen. Anyway, this camera turns up on my doorstep. I shoot straight out the bush. First press of that shutter button, I was bitterly disappointed. The focusing system on this is terrible. So sluggish, it has no idea what you want at first, and by the time it works it out, your subject is gone. Bird on a branch. Susceptible to distractions from brighter things behind the bird or in front of the bird, you name it. It just, in, out. Oh, that's what you want? Sorry, your subject's gone. So it really pissed me off. Combined with this standard lens, gold banded standard lens from Canon, 70 to 300 millimeter. These two together are frigging horrible. That's sluggish, and so is this. But it taught me how to get around faults with cameras, that is for sure. So for that, I'm grateful to it, but otherwise I'm pissed off with it because I've missed out on so many fantastic images that I could have had with this camera. Now the focusing squares in this, you only get 9. They're tightly packed in the center. Man, I just wanted to reach in there from the very first click of that shutter button. I wanted to reach in and pull all those focusing squares right out to the edge of the frame. Because they're all tightly packed in the middle, that's where you're stuck with. If you want to take a portrait shot of someone, whether that's landscape or a portrait angle, you would have to, on a tripod, tilt up onto their face, get the focus, go back to manual focusing, so it's locked in. Reframe your subject, take the shot. It's the only way you could do it, because otherwise the most outer squares, didn't matter which way you were doing it, portrait or whatever, the focus square would always be here, at least there, on the chest, which isn't what we want. We want it on the face, so the face is focused on especially the eyes. For taking sports photography, you have to zoom out further so that the focus square would be on the face, and then in post crop it in, print it out. So you'd lose a little bit of detail there. Ah, man, horrible. So it's a terrible focusing system. But I have to give credit to the image quality. It is pretty damn good. Dynamic range is a little bit behind modern day cameras now, but it's still fantastic. And you know, even with modern day cameras, you take a couple of images, combine them together in post anyway to get that beautiful dynamic range, or use gradient filters or whatever. So in that way, it's a great landscape camera because it gives you high detail images. You can in post pixel peep 200% before the image even starts to break down. So that just shows you how much detail this camera has. Now the other thing that this camera taught me about the hype. Don't buy things on the hype that everyone is saying about a camera. Stop. Push that hype aside. Look at as many videos as you possibly can. That's what I do with anything that I want to buy, that I'm interested in. I will look at as many videos on YouTube that are out there about it. Look for those little consistently talked about things. See whether the camera suits me or not. Well thought out decision that yes or no, the camera is good for me or not. So for that, I thank you again, 5D Mark II. Taught me a hell of a lot. The only time you'll hear me talk about hippie stuff is when I first walk into the forest. I walk in about 70 metres, I stop, I close my eyes, and I listen to the birds. Help me tune into nature. Then I can move on. I'm almost ready for action. I'm probably about 30% in the zone now. The rest will follow, where I leave my normal world behind and I'm totally focused on what's going on in the forest. There you go. In my words of wisdom, I do it every time I go into a forest. It slows me down. Tunes me into nature. Just in front of me is a female black wallaby. She is beautiful. She's quite old. As you can see, she's not taken much notice of me. She can slightly hear me. She can pick things up, but she's quite deaf. Yeah, so I come across her every now and then. She has cataracts on her eyes. But she is a beautiful looking swamp wallaby. She's beautiful, and if I could get the light onto her, I'll take a photograph. Well, I found a very interesting looking newly formed leaf on the silver wattle. Hasn't quite opened up properly yet. There's a little growth on the side of it, and right at the end of the stalk you can see a little red thing. I don't know quite what that is, but it just looks really interesting. Thought might add something to my library. May use it, may not. But yeah, very interesting to look at. Got some nice birds chirping in the background. A little bit of breeze again for some movement. Awesome. Done deal. There's a whole heap of kids running, yelling and screaming and having a ball running through the reserve. You'll hear them in the background. Anyway, we'll carry on. So this format, I've got a long way to go with it. You know, I won't be doing this all the time. It's just practicing, seeing, getting it right. At the minute, I'm not feeling very creative. I go to sit down in my editing chair and I go, oh, can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. But we'll get creative and make something out of it. For me, when I get busy, that's what it's all about. Once I start filming in here and dedicating myself more to getting those bits of footage that I really need, I don't want to be mucking around worrying about making videos for YouTube. I want it still to be fun, knowing that it'll be quick and easy for me. I won't be mucking around for hours. Anyway, we'll keep plugging away at it. Not happy at the minute, but I'll get it right before the season really starts. Speaking of the season, look at that beautiful silver wattle there. Got its little buds ready to start swelling and then burst in August. So that'll start to happen more and more and more, and I'll get some more footage of that. Be something really good for me to have in my library of each little stage as they go along. That's pretty well much it for today. Keep plugging away, making more and more videos for the library, talking about camera stuff and tech talk and adding more things in as well. More interest for you, and yeah, a bit of fun for me as well. Right, that is it for today. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel and get more of this amazing stuff, click on my pretty little face just down there in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Hit the little bell, you get notification whenever I do anything else. And if you want to go over here at the end of this video, click on my icon. It'll take you to my channel. There's lots of amazing videos there to choose from. Teaching a bit of photography, go on holidays, make little documentaries. Oh man, there is tons of stuff. Go and have a browse, there'll be something here of interest there. Now just remember, if you don't do, you don't get. So get out there and start photographing and filming wildlife, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.